There is a battle out there, and the battle we all going through, cost of living crisis.
Some time ago, local authorities might have done more and offered more. But we went through austerity, 10 years of austerity where it reduced an awful lot of what was available to local authorities to do the kind of things that need to be done. And now local authorities find it really hard to fund things in the way that need to be funded, and they have to make tough decisions every year about things.
This is poverty rates by demographic characteristics in London, and that's 2021-22. Over 50% of poverty is workless families, but then we see here single pensioner with 30%.
Older people, once you come onto pension, you get onto state pension, and the state pension in Britain isn't that great, compared to Germany, France, and Spain. There's a lot of play on saying that older people have got a better deal than younger people. There's like an intergenerational thing that goes on. And it's a mistake to go along with the thing thinking that older people is, life for them is a lot better than it is for younger people. Well, that ain't necessarily the case. But the winter generally is a really tough time for a lot of older people, particularly January, February, when it gets really cold sometimes. You get what is known as excess deaths. We're working with a particular older person and it's winter. We will tell them, put your heating on, don't worry about paying the bill. Because we're working pretty exclusively with vulnerable people. I would say certainly late 70s and over, there's a lot of digital exclusion. Everybody has to download the app for everything nowadays. People generally do struggle with that. And often that's the only way you can access things. That's the only way you can communicate with your bank, how you can pay your bills. And of course, for a lot of older people, that's just gone by the by.
We don't necessarily get given the tools, to deal with this. No. And then when we struggle or when we get things wrong, we can, have that fight, flight, freeze response, and I think the reason things snowball or people aren't coming, are not coming till they're in a lot of debt, it's not because they don't want help. They desperately want help, but there's so much fear about telling someone or sharing it. And often our body is in a physical state of terror, or real fear. It's really great to be here while you're talking about debt, because I know we've talked a lot about the stigma around talking about debt. I think things are slowly changing, but there's still a lot of stigma.
There's a lot of shame around when people are struggling. People don't like to ask for help.
And it's part of what we want to do, destigmatize debt. Nobody would choose to say, I would like to be in debt. There's a lot of people in debt because of cost of a living crisis that were never in debt before or didn't experience that before. And then what happens is people take quite a while. They first go, I can do it, I can sort. I've got a family, I've got friends, and we will get out, we will get out.
But then that's partly my fault because I didn't probably engage with people at that point, because I'm sure something could have been done.
If you look for help earlier.
If I had looked for help a decade ago, then I'm sure something would be different now. I just didn't know quite where to look.
The barriers of stigma plays a big part of that, and the barriers. People want to hold. People really cherish their independence, and they really want to hang on to it for as long as they can. Of course you do, and everybody does. But it's working with people and trying to get people to come to us sooner rather than later, and actually start accessing the things that we do, start inquiring what's available to support people.
Our brains, let's face it, they like to tell us the worst case scenario sometimes. They like to
Stick to the negatives.
Yeah, and they like to make us feel like we're alone, and that is not true. Ultimately, none of us are alone, and
exactly.
If you can just open that door and have that conversation, it might just be the first step out of that darkness.